Hello everyone, I'm Vesper the Evening Star, and I'll be your host today here on Vesper's Fanfiction Time. Today we are going to be reading Chapter 9 of You Call It Necromancy? I Call It Making Friends! So without further ado, let's just jump right into the chapter, folks. Izuku is not really that surprised with what he finds when he meets his contractor. In the room, Guildmaster Star is set for them. There's a tall and skinny old woman, accompanied by a younger woman, probably in her mid-30s, with black hair and red eyes. From what he heard, a lot of people got together to put up this contract, which makes him wonder why they sent those two to meet with him. He has already decided to accept the contract. The reason for this meeting is simply to understand the contractor's side, something that is not very difficult to empathize with. People think the Ripper only appeared a few weeks ago, but that is a lie, the old woman explained to him. The Ripper has been terrorizing the streets for years, and the heroes didn't do anything for us. There's no fame for them here, so they don't care about us. Only recently, the Ripper got bolder. He started hunting outside his comfort zone, and the press noticed him. And yet the heroes don't seem interested in catching him, the younger woman adds. The Ripper killed dozens, maybe hundreds of people since he started, and the heroes do nothing. So we went to the guild, the old woman adds, but we are a poor community. Mercenaries work for money, and we don't have enough to pay for a contract like this. She puts a bag on the table and pushes it towards Izuku. The Ripper killed my daughter. It took weeks for the body to even be identified. Izuku looks at the younger woman. I was with her when the Ripper attacked, she explained. My quirk is called Tracker. I can find the exact location of anyone, as long as I know their name and face. If I only know one of these, I can point to a 2-kilometer area where I know he is. Izuku looks at the bag, then back to the old woman. What's in the bag? He asks. Everything I have, she replies. Everything we have. We gathered anything of value any of us had to pay for this. Inside the bag were a lot of things. Money, trinkets, and anything else that might have some monetary or sentimental value. So, you're willing to give everything you have for this? Izuku asked. As long as the Ripper is on the loose, none of us can truly live, the old woman replies. Any of us can be his next victim, and we already gave up on the heroes. Izuku nods, then reaches into the bag, taking a single thing from it. A beautiful silver pocket watch. Payment accepted, Izuku says, and pushes the bag back towards the woman. My team will take care of the Ripper. She looks at him, all struck, and bows to him. Thank you, she says with tears in her eyes. We'll never forget this. You can thank me by living the rest of your life without regrets, Izuku replies as he gets up. The older woman leaves a few minutes later, and the younger woman stays. I want to help, she says. I escaped him once, and I'm sure he'll want to get me again. I can be the bait. What? Izuku replies. That's too dangerous. The Ripper's M.O. is finding his victims and stabbing them multiple times. No hesitation. No warnings. I know how dangerous it is, she replies. Are you really sure about that? Izuku asks. This isn't being the bait. You're practically signing to be a sacrifice. I'm sure, she nods. I have nothing, and the only friend I ever had is dead. No one will miss me. If I die, so be it. It's not like there's a way to bring me back. Well, actually, the plan works, as Izuku predicted, but it leaves a bitter taste in his mouth. As he approaches the dark alley, he finds the Ripper with a knife plunged into his victim's chest. Fighter, Izuku orders, and Fighter instantly takes after the murderer, who has his knife poised for a second stab. As soon as the Ripper sees them, he gets up and starts running. But Izuku knows that the barbarian and the arsonist are close and will soon corner him, so he goes straight after the bleeding woman. Fixer is on his way, but Izuku doubts she'll be alive when he arrives. As Izuku lifts her, she smiles at him. "Are you sure? Do you want that?" he asks her. "I'm sure," she replies slowly as her skin pales from the lack of blood. "Do it." She smiles one more time, then closes her eyes. Her breathing stops right after. Izuku lies her back on the floor and pulls his knife, cutting his wrist and letting his blood fall on her body. This is the fastest it ever happened. Her blood starts flowing back into the wound, which quickly closes, and she gasps, opening her eyes. Usually it takes at least a few seconds for the zombie to wake up. Izuku takes a moment to feel her pulse, but the lack of one confirms that, indeed, she died. "Did it work?" she asks Izuku. "It did," Izuku replies. "What do you remember?" She frowns for a few seconds. "Everything, I think," she replies. "I feel like I had a concussion. A few things are slightly blurred, but I can't remember everything." She smiles. "You can call me Chiro." "I'm Izuku," Izuku replies, "but call me Necromancer while we're working. Now, let's finish this contract." She nods, and they go the way the Ripper ran. And it doesn't take them long to find him, restricted by Barbarian while Fighter ties him. As Izuku approaches, the Ripper looks at him with a crazed expression. "So, you are vigilantes?" he asks. "Are you sending me to the police now? I'll be back, you know. The police are useless." "We know," Izuku replies as he pulls the scythe from his back. "We aren't vigilantes. We are mercenaries." "Oh, I guess I did anger a lot of people." The Ripper replies and starts laughing. "But they sent a kid to do the dirty work? How pathetic. What are you going to do?" "You talk too much," Izuku replies as he walks to the man. He stops and puts the scythe blade on his neck. "Last words." "Yes, Too bad." Izuku cuts him and pulls the scythe, easily severing the head, which rolls on the floor. Blood splashes everywhere, practically painting Izuku's costume red. But like other death-related things, Izuku immediately realizes that the blood doesn't bother him. The rest of the body falls down, and Izuku feels nothing about it, good or bad. "Should we bring something as proof?" Izuku asks. "My word must be enough, but you should take this knife too," Chiro replies. Izuku nods and picks up the bloody knife from the corpse, putting it in a small bag. Then he looks back to the headless body and frowns. He picks up the head and puts it close to the rest of the body. "Arsonist," he calls. "Burn the corpse." "Sure thing, boss," Arsonist replies and raises a hand towards the corpse. They leave the burning corpse behind and go back. Izuku sighs at his bloodied state. He really needs a shower now. A few weeks later, Izuku crosses path with Eraserhead again. Today, he's been hired as a sentinel for a paranoid client who is sure there's someone spying on his business. So, he brought Mittens and Churro with him. Churro officially joined the group and adopted the code name Ranger. As it turns out, she's an excellent archer. Meeting Eraserhead was a complete coincidence, but it turns out that the building Izuku chose to observe his client's business is the same building where Eraserhead likes to take his break during his patrols. By now, Izuku is sure the man doesn't want to arrest him, so he doesn't tense when he drops by. Eraserhead just looks at the people there, then looks back at Izuku. "New member?" he asks. "This is Ranger," Izuku says, shrugging. "We met her a few weeks ago, while we were after the Ripper." "The Ripper?" Eraserhead asks, frowning. "He has made no new victims in a while, is he?" "Dead," Izuku shrugs. "That was the contract. He's dead and his body cremated." Izuku observes wearily what will be the other man's reaction to him basically admitting that he killed someone. But to his surprise, Eraserhead nods at him. "I'll let the police know," he replies. "They're all wondering when the next victim will appear." "Is that all?" Izuku blurts out before he can stop himself. "I just said that I killed the Ripper." "Yes, you did," Eraserhead replies. "And I don't approve of it, but mercenaries kill. And I can't do anything about that." Then he sighs. "Did you like it? Killing?" "Not really," Izuku says. "Then I doubt you'll become the next serial murderer," Eraserhead replies. "I'm willing to look the other way." "You're very morally gray, Eraserhead," Izuku says. "Most underground heroes are," he shrugs. "I still wish that you didn't have to be a mercenary, especially at such a young age." Izuku shrugs and turns back to observe the business. "I'm trying to make the best with the hand I got," Izuku replies. "I refuse to go to foster care. That's practically a death sentence." He looks up and smiles. "I'm sure you agree with me. You never tried to catch me, after all." "Your point?" Razorhead asks. "I'm just saying that necromancy is not exactly a common quirk. In fact, I'm sure I've never heard of a quirk like mine," Izuku explains. "I'm sure anyone with access to the police quirk database, for example, a sleep-deprived underground hero, could easily find out who I am. Am I right?" Eraserhead looks at him for a few seconds and sighs. "You're Midoriya Izuku, right?" he asks, and Izuku nods. He knows he's taking a gamble with this. He just confirmed his identity. So if Eraserhead wants to catch him, he has everything he needs. But to his surprise, Eraserhead does the last thing he would expect. "I'm Erasa Shota." "That's your name," Izuku says, and looks at Ranger, who nods at him. She can locate him, which means this is his real name. "Your real name?" "Yes, this is my real name," Eraserhead replies. "Don't tell anyone outside your team, okay?" "I promise," Izuku says with a serious nod. "Good," Eraserhead replies, and after a second, he slowly reaches Izuku's head and ruffles his hair. "I need to go back to patrol. Be safe, kid." Izuku nods and Eraserhead leaves. When he turns back to Chiro and Mittens, they're smiling at him. He didn't even know cats could smile, but apparently Mittens can. A few days later, Izuku was taking a walk during the night. It's not that late, probably about 9 p.m., but still, most of his team are out doing a job, so he has nothing to do. As he passes through an alley, he hears a muffled cry. "This doesn't sound like a cat," Izuku mumbles as he checks his pockets. He doesn't have a scythe because carrying that thing around is impossible without looking like a crazy cosplayer, but he always carries a pocket knife when he walks alone. So even if he finds a murderer in this alley, he can probably deal with it. Hopefully. This is a horrible idea. But he goes in anyway. Gripping the knife in his pocket tightly, Izuku steps into the alley. "Anyone here?" he asks, and he hears a muffled gasp. He takes a few more steps, and then his training kicks in. Instinctively, Izuku ducks, avoiding a punch to the face. Then he pulls his knife, grabs the arm that tried to punch him, and pulls it towards him, pressing the knife to the neck of the aggressor. Then he notices this person, while taller than him, is too short to be an adult. As he walks back, still holding the arm, the person has no choice but to go with him, stepping into the light. The first thing Izuku notices is the gravity-defying purple hair. Then the tear-stained cheeks, purple eyes puffy from all the crying, and heavy eye bags that only someone with serious insomnia would have. And then finally, the muzzle tightly and painfully digging into his face. Izuku slowly pulls his knife away from the other kid and drops his arm. Then he raises his hands. "I promise I won't hurt you," he says. "But this looks painful. Can I take this thing out of your face?" And that is all for chapter 9, everyone. I hope you enjoyed it. I feel like this chapter was also kind of short. It probably isn't, but I make it kind of long with the ending credits. But, yeah. Oh my god. Can y'all believe Halloween is coming up? And then after Halloween, it's Thanksgiving. And then Christmas? Oh, I'm just so excited, y'all. You know, things are happening. I got a haunted house job, actually, so I'm a scare actor for Halloween. What? And, you know, as always, everyone, have a good morning, good afternoon, good night, good evening. Have a good everything, folks, and I will see y'all next time. Bye! Mwah!